Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. With that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time. All right, thank you all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Hey, I'm Jesse.
And I'm Eric, and we're Stone Figure.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Thank you all so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah. Let's go ahead. We'll start at this end. Tell us a little bit about who you are individually and what you do in the band.
Yeah, absolutely. So I play lead guitar in the band. I do a little bit of the singing, lyric writing as well. I usually like to lounge around. I love living in the Pacific Northwest. It's beautiful. The mountains are gorgeous. You can drive just about anywhere and get any really view that you want. And yeah, grew up here, been here since 96, and my family came here from California. And
oh, hey, yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I was born in Los Angeles, and yeah, it's just I've always been here, and I don't ever see myself really moving anywhere else. So,
hell yeah, I dig that. I dig that. And what about you?
Yeah, so I'm Jesse, once again. I was born in Seattle, moved here 1998.
Oh, you're one of those.
I play guitar, sing, and play synthesizer in the band.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, I also love living in the Pacific Northwest, near the Columbia River Gorge and everywhere else.
Yeah, as we all do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Love the local music community and everything, and happy to be here today.
Oh yeah. Hey, real quick, what synth do you play?
I play Korg, micro Korg.
Nice. Oh, I've had 3 micro Korg XLs.
They're complicated.
Yeah, big fan. That's neither here nor there. How'd you all get started with the band initially?
So it kind of a weird way it worked out. I started working at this local mom and pop auto parts store in Orchards, and just being a parts driver, driving around. And Jesse's father had a dealership. What was that, off of Killingsworth?
Yeah, Killingsworth and 82nd.
Yeah, S&M Auto Sales, and just delivered parts one day there, and his father was like, "Oh yeah, my son plays bass. You guys should, connect and network." And yeah, one day I just said, "What's up?" to Jesse. He was, I believe, a detailer out there, and came over to my apartment one day. And back in that time, I was a really big like metalhead, pop punk kid. Mm-hmm. And the type of music that he listened to, I really had no interest in. But eventually that kind of changed over time. But yeah, a few awkward meetups at my old apartment, and we kind of just started writing songs together eventually.
Oh yeah, that's right. Man, sometimes I forget about how like the first few times you like play music with somebody, it's always like, do you like these chords?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I was trying to play bass in a band, and I went and met up with Erick, and I couldn't keep up on the bass. So we just decided to hang out and drink and everything. And then I remember showing him like American football and things like that. And then we both got interested in wanting to make some music together, more like a indie alternative style,
Hell yeah. Yeah. No, I dig that. Yeah. And then I have a couple foundation questions I check in with everybody on. So before we get into what y'all do today, we're going to put those in right here. And this first one is one we ask early, it's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you each ever bought with your own money?
So I bought, and this was in 06, I bought the Jimi Hendrix Greatest Hits. It was a 2-disc CD set at Target for like $24.99. And I remember I saved up for a month and a half of my allowance to get it. And that's the very first thing I bought. And unfortunately, a month after that, my mom heard me listening to it and she destroyed it.
No.
Very anti rock and roll music, the stereotypical it's the devil's music, this and that. And but yeah, it definitely turned me into listening to AC/DC and so forth on there. And yeah, it's great music.
I mean, we're not in the regular studio, but I usually have a pretty big picture of Hendrix chilling.
Yeah.
What would be right there? Big fan. And also, even though we spell it differently, we got the same name. So
that's awesome.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what about you?
I can't really remember like CD wise. I got into collecting records when I was 17. So not necessarily one album. This was back in the day when you could get Led Zeppelin albums for $1.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I would just get, like 20 albums for $1 from like Everyday Music. But I do remember the first album I ever got on vinyl. My brother-in-law got it for me for my birthday, and it was New Moon by Elliott Smith.
Okay. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, no, I dig that.
Yeah.
I mean, both first solid experiences. I dig that. And then what was the first live show you ever went to that was like specifically one you wanted to go to? So like you saw it was happening, got tickets, went to it.
My first one that I paid for and everything was when I was like 16 and I went and saw Y.
Hell yeah.
Yoni Wolf he's the singer for Y. That was at the Wonder Ballroom. Yeah, I just got a car and could drive, and then I started going to shows all the time.
Okay, yeah. So that opened the floodgates for you. Hell yeah. And then what about you?
So I had not necessarily one that I like wanted to go to, but Alice Cooper played at the Clark County Fair. I think like back in like 2007.
Okay,
and it was a free concert unless you wanted lawn chair tickets there or whatever.
Yeah.
And remember seeing Alice Cooper, but later on, when I was 17, got my own car and stuff. I went and saw this band called 4 Year Strong. They're from Boston, Massachusetts.
Yeah. Yep.
And I've seen them only like 5 times live, but they definitely were super influential to my guitar playing around that period of time.
Hell yeah.
Super high energy. Just
that'd be a great band to see live.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're great.
Hell yeah, I dig that. But now let's go ahead and let's get on into y'all in the present day. And we're going to get a super easy one out of the way. How'd you pick the name?
So I think the name, so for sure, like the name is something that I made up a long, long time ago. Probably like 2006, 2007, when I was still in middle school. Me and another buddy, Dusty, and then my cousin, Julio, we were doing this, trying to make a band, but obviously we're too inexperienced, didn't necessarily know what direction what we were going to do. And I listened to this one band called Fallen Figure. They were this like underground, like hardcore metalcore band from the East Coast. And I always just loved their name. I'm like, oh, Fallen Figure? What if it was Stone Figure? And when me and Jesse started playing together, it was just one of the names I kicked out because it's just something I always loved. And then it stuck.
Yeah, I'm bad at coming up with names. I'll just steal it from like a track from an album.
Yeah. No,
I do some solo stuff that's on Bandcamp and everything, and it's just Fuzz and Timbre is my Instagram name, and that's just an interlude song from a Duster EP. So that's also what it is on Bandcamp. So I just took it from a.
Hey, I mean, if it works, it works, and song names at least don't count as like band names, so it's not fully taking it, and it's kind of homage-y in a way. So
yeah, a lot of bands have done that in the past. Like Man Overboard,
Yeah, or they'll like pull like a bit from like, like a famous like poem or like, from a play or something like that. I mean, you all got to find it. And we were just talking about this on what would have been last Wednesday's episode, how like it's only going to get harder and harder to come up with names as time progresses.
Yeah.
Because like everybody keeps thinking of them. So when you can find a good one, it's definitely good to hold on to it. So I definitely dig it. And I mean, it's a easy name to remember. It's 2 easy words to spell. It's going to sit in there. It's just, it all in all, it is a solid name.
Yeah.
But now let's go ahead and let's talk about your writing process. And we're going to kind of break it up into chunks, but we're going to start it right at the beginning. So like when it's time to make a new track, how does one get started for the band?
I don't know if we have like similar writing processes or not. I mean, typically the way that I approach it is I either come up with like a vocal melody first, or interestingly enough, I'll take a song that like I really, really like and just listen to the bare bone track, no vocals. And then I'll use like that song to like come up with like my own lyrics and melody. I kind of use that, and I'll write a guitar part and see if it kind of translates into something else.
Yeah.
And that's more recently, that's been working better for me personally.
That's an interesting approach.
Yeah. So it's a little weird, whereas I used to just try and come up with a guitar part and then like lay down lyrics over it, a melody or something. But unfortunately, I kind of have a hard time doing that apparently. So
no, I get that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I dig that. And then, so do you usually start off like a song for the band and then bring it to everybody?
Yeah, typically that's the way it works. Is I'll write an entire song and then I'll present it. And if Jesse likes it and if the rest of the band like it, then we'll go ahead and work on it, kind of tweak things as we go. But I think, yeah, more generally, it's me just recording everything and then presenting it.
Okay, so you record all the other instruments as well?
No, just like in like the stuff that I write personally. Yeah.
Okay.
Like everything else and like the tracks is, of course, is all of us together. But as far as like me presenting like a demo or something, then I'll record everything and then kind of.
Okay, gotcha.
Record, yeah.
And then once he brings it to y'all, what does it look like as far as like expanding it goes? Like how's that conversation kind of take place and what happens from there?
I just take over the rhythm guitar that he came up with. On all the songs he writes, I'll just do the rhythm guitar, and he's a great guitarist, so I just lay that down. Annalisa, our bassist, kind of has free range. She's a great bass player, and then same with our drummer too. We just kind of do that. I'm kind of similar. The last like 10 years, I've just recorded demos on GarageBand, and I'll just record every instrument. That's kind of what I was doing before we started this band, but I didn't release anything. But I'll just come up with a whole demo and present it and be like, this is a song that I want to do. And then if everybody likes it, then we take it from there.
Oh yeah. So does every member of the band usually does every member bring like a demo when they have an idea in mind, or is it typically just the two of you?
Yeah, it's typically just the two of us. Kicking ideas out there, and I feel like it definitely works a little bit better that way.
Yeah.
Just makes it a little bit easier, I guess. So there's less of that like creative indifference.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're both pretty flexible when it comes to the songwriting process. Like I'll take a seat back. Like if a song doesn't necessarily need like a really like loud lead guitar part, like I have no problem playing a nice, pretty little, couple chords in the back.
Well, lucky every song does need that. So
exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
And then when you guys are going about writing, do you have like a certain like sound or style you try to stay within, or do you really just kind of let it be what happens?
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of just really whatever comes out. Just because it's definitely like from my musical background, I would just play metal, drop tunings, and just love to chug, and going from that into playing really pretty guitar chords, or like just a cleaner guitar where it's it's very apparent where when you're playing metal, it's a little more forgiving. You're just coated in distortion, so you can kind of
technique. What's that
exactly? Yeah, and going from writing that style to this style is definitely a little harder for me, but I love it. It's night and day difference for me. It definitely kind of reignited my creativity, I think.
Oh yeah, I dig that. Yeah, I think switching to a space where it's like you can use some of the tools from before, but you get to kind of try all new things that kind of bend like the formula can definitely be really inspiring. And then when it comes to like creative differences, how do y'all handle that as a band?
Well, I think it's more so like on my part. Like I'll be honest with Jesse a lot of the times. I'll say, hey, I don't think that we should play this song anymore, or I don't feel like the song necessarily fits like the vibe that we've kind of created in our other set songs. Like for example, there are a handful of songs that we dropped when before we released our album that we would play live, and there's just things where I would just say like, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's not play these anymore. And but we have an open discussion about it, and I think that we can agree to disagree. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the one that's always throwing things out there. Erick keeps us in check. He's like, no, we should. That's something from the past, from when we started playing shows 5 years ago, and we were trying to figure out what we were doing. But we kind of have this sound now, so we're trying to go for that.
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha. I mean, and y'all been doing it for a little while now, so you probably have a pretty solidified process, at least for like getting things going.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was checking out some of your music, and it goes back to 2019 on Spotify, and it's cool. It's like moody, it's a little dark, it's a little somber, but like it feels very together. It feels very on point. Like there's a looseness in it, but only in the sense of that it doesn't feel rigid. You know what I mean? Like it feels like there's room for everybody to kind of do their thing. It's easy to process all the sounds. And I mean, I'm a bass player myself, so I'm always listening for that part of it, and just everything kind of feels very thought out. And I was checking out, your most recent album, Without Light. It's really cool. It's a very good example of just what y'all do kind of at the present moment. But I also do this bit where I pick out a track that I really like, and I almost went with Fade Away. Almost went with it. It's a really cool track, but I ended up going a little bit further back to your 2020 single Dread. And it had this bite to it. There was something about like the tonality of it and things like it grabbed my attention really right away. It was really a little bit sharper, but it also had this like, and I don't know if this will make sense, but it almost had this like Western twinge to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was something about it that was really engaging to me. So that was my pick, but I listened to the whole album a couple times. I actually really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's funny. Our buddy Oscar did the cover for the single. That he made that, right?
Yeah, he made it.
The skull and everything, because everybody was like, oh, it's kind of Westerny.
I didn't even put the album art and the song together, and as soon as you said it, I was like, oh my God, it's totally that. Yeah.
It's a fun song. Everybody loves that song. We've been playing it for a long time, and
it's definitely a cool one. Yeah. But I am curious to know, what are some of y'all's favorite tracks to perform?
Yeah, I think for me personally is Dreaming is definitely one of my favorites to play. It's simple. I feel like it's really straightforward. I think it's the easiest song of ours to kind of just grasp in general. Absent would be another one, and that song Jesse wrote. That's a really fun one just for me to play on guitar, and I love the lyrics, and it's very I feel like it kind of has like a little bit of like that rock, like classic rock and roll flair, especially in the chorus of my little guitar part, and it's just really fun to play.
Oh yeah. Great. Oh yeah. And what about you?
Yeah, I really like playing Dreaming as well, just because it sounds really pretty, and we're all like, that's probably our tightest song, as a group. We play Dreaming really well. But I also really like playing The Void. That's off of the first EP. We didn't get around to recording a new version of it, but I'm mostly just doing rhythm guitar stuff in The Void. I wrote that song forever ago, and I'm doing, there's no chorus, it's kind of just like a ballad structure. It's long.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at writing like verse, chorus, verse songs. So The Void is like really fun for me because I get to do a lot more on the guitar there with something that I wrote,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And then when it comes to playing live, does the band have any like rituals or like practices or things that they all do beforehand to like get ready for the show?
Yeah, lots of stressing out.
lots of stress, lots of drinking.
You just stand in a circle pulling each other's hair out.
Yeah, no, there's not really a like a ritual or anything. We kind of just we all live in different parts of Washington.
In
Oregon, so it's like we struggle to somewhat practice sometimes, and we'll practice, like we practiced 3 times, I think, before our last show at Cascade Bar and Grill.
Mm-hmm.
And, we all just kind of showed up. It was really hot, and we just kind of do our own thing and mingle with everybody there. And then we just hop on and do it pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I mean, if as long as it works, it works. You know what I mean? Everybody kind of does things a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for last Wednesday's episode with Midnight Morning, we were talking about how like they practiced like the night before.
Mm-hmm.
That was, or maybe it wasn't them. Sorry, I've technically done 4 of these today. But somebody was talking about how they're like, we just practiced the night before, and that's like all we do to prepare for the show. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, we've done that before too. If we have a show on like a Saturday,
Yeah.
we'll just practice like during the day before we pack up.
See, that was in my old band. That's how we always did it. We would just practice the day of.
Yeah.
And we would go to the show, and then we would have already played. So by the time we played, we'd already played, and it was just playing again.
Right. Exactly.
But we had way too much gear for that to actually be a consistent thing. So unfortunately, I'm glad that we don't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about y'all. The next one, I guess, tell us about some new music that you're working on, or stuff that hasn't come out yet. What can we look forward to as far as like new tracks?
Yeah. So we were in the studio in 2020 during the pandemic, Sisterly Silent Studios. We recorded the album, one half of it, and then the other half in last year, I think. So there's a little bit of a sound difference there because I'm playing a different guitar, different amp. But basically, when we were in the studio last, we were planning on recording a few more songs, and my amp broke when we were in the studio.
Uh-oh.
So we were like, oh, we got to try to get back in there. But then Eric and I just went there, finished up some vocals and things. And then we, just for like kind of warm-ups, we, like Fade Away wasn't going to be on the album because it was on the EP, same with Unclear.
Yeah.
We recorded pretty good versions of them. So we just finished up the vocals there, and then we did that. So we already have something planned for an EP because there's 2 more songs that are fully written and everything. We just haven't gotten around to recording them yet. And then I know Eric's been writing some more music. And
Yeah, I've been doing a little more writing. I just got a new job, a good stable job, Monday through Friday, good schedule. And yeah, the past couple of years have been a little rough. I kind of took a step back from just writing in general. But yeah, past few months, I definitely have gotten right back into it. And I have 3 more songs to present here, hopefully soon. So I'm pretty excited. It's definitely, I feel, more up to date. I think it's going to be a little more straightforward approach to our sound, but without, kind of losing any of that, any of the feel.
Yeah. Sound that we've come to know and love.
Right.
yeah. And I mean, I've also got sometimes I'll revisit old stuff as well.
I think that's good to do, especially if it's like a track that you like enjoyed and it just at the time feels like, if you like listen to early recordings, just like, this feels a little dated. It's like, it's still your music. You're allowed to change it however and whenever you want.
Every demo I've recorded up to like 2023, I put on Bandcamp. So it's like, maybe one day I'll revisit it and kind of restructure it and everything, So I've done that before as well.
And I guess that kind of segues well into the next question. So like, what are some of the things y'all are doing to like change, like keep your sound consistent, or like, a little bit different and not always stay the same?
I feel like I'm a bit more on the trying to do a little bit more indie sort of stuff, but we also want to lean more towards like more into a shoegazy sound. So Eric will write really good shoegaze songs, and then I'm like, here's this weird riff, it's like not really a shoegaze song. And so, I mean, it kind of, you can hear that throughout the album as well. There's just a bunch of blaring guitar effects and everything. And then like, there's, Absent, that is like the chords just sound like Needle in the Hay by Elliott Smith, restructured around and things like that. So I think it keeps things, different, so it just doesn't sound the same through the whole set.
Yeah. No, I could dig that. And definitely shoegaze is one of those genres where it's like, it's not hard to land on some similar sounding stuff. So I think the addition of another element really makes it go a long way. Although I will say this, I don't know if it's just I'm recently noticing it more, but I feel like there is a resurgence for shoegaze happening right now.
Absolutely.
And I'm a pretty big fan of that. Like,
Yeah.
I grew up in that space where it was like happening for a bit, but I never got to get fully into it. And then I just kind of like lost touch, but I'm glad to hear it's kind of coming back in a way. But that's neither here nor there. That's for a bigger discussion later. But before we get into the next portion, which is all hypothetical questions, this one's going to be an individual answer, but I'm curious to know on a personal level, when it's just you and music one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
So, I mean, for me, it's definitely, I have a really weird relationship with music. I love to feel sad.
Mm-hmm.
I like to hear how a song, you just hear like that emotion,
Mm-hmm.
that sadness and like the pain. And for me, that resonates a lot for some reason. I don't know why. Like one of my favorite artists personally his name's Tyler Burkhart, just like solo, records in a home studio, but beautiful acoustic guitars, beautiful slide guitars, just really great sad music. And I don't know, it just really, really resonates for me. Or like Jesse showed me this band Nothing, and they have a lot of songs about like self-doubt, kind of like self-hatred, anxiety, just those emotions. And that I just gravitate towards that. And I would say Nothing is definitely more like on the like heavier, like shoegaze aspect.
Yeah.
And it does a lot for me. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it helps you, or it helps me. Sorry, helps me process emotions and whatnot. Sometimes you're feeling down. You want to listen to some sad music because, like, believe it or not, it helps. Sometimes you feel goofy and you want to listen to like Earth, Wind, and Fire, and clean your house and move around and things like that. But I mean, yeah, just whatever you're feeling, just lean into that, and yeah, it just helps you process things in your head, or it can be inspiring. You can listen to music in the past and then not really be into it, and then something can happen in your life, and then you could really feel it after that.
No, I totally get that. Thank you for sharing. But now let's go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions. Remember these? Sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But for this first one, if the band could perform with any other, like anybody, the only requirement is they have to be like currently active and performing, who would you want the band to play with?
I feel like I know Jesse's answer. But I think I would be there too. Like I would love to open for like Modest Mouse. That would be a great experience. Most of the bands that I really gravitate towards, a lot of them are all like East Coast bands, so they don't necessarily come over here, unfortunately. Yeah. But I think for like as far as a big band, Modest Mouse, but on a smaller scale, I would love to play with like Spirit of the Beehive. They're out of Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. Just like a great like indie psychedelic kind of like shoegazy band, and yeah, I love their sound. They're one of my favorite bands for sure. But
a good band name too.
Yeah, they're great. They're so good. They're very good.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna check it out. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
And what about you?
I would love to open for Duster.
Okay.
And Modest Mouse, so perfect show.
Yeah.
Duster and Modest Mouse played together back in the late 90s. So we got Stone Figure, Duster, Modest Mouse.
Hell yeah. I would go to that show for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really all I can think of. I'm really inspired by Duster. So yeah, I'd love to do something like that.
Hell yeah. And then subsequently, who's a local band that y'all are aware of that you haven't gotten to perform with yet, but you would like to?
I think I don't think they really do much anymore, but are we talking Vancouver or Portland?
Let's do Vancouver.
Vancouver? Only thing that comes to mind right now, because I'm kind of drawing a blank, is I think this band called Interstate opened for Afro Man at Brick House. Mm-hmm. So they have my respect. So shout out Interstate. I don't know what you guys sound like, but you guys opened for Afro Man at Brick House, so I would love to play with you guys.
Yeah, and I'm kind of in like the aspect of social media, I've kind of like withdrawn myself for the past couple of years. So I'm not even 100% sure, who's around in our area. one of my buddies, Jake, his band Humanize. I know they're doing great. I'd love to play with them again. They were really awesome. Definitely on an opposite spectrum, more of like that punk,
Pop.
like pop punk style. But would absolutely love to play with them again. They're great.
There is another band too. I remember a while back just looking at Craigslist ads because I was bored.
As one does.
Yeah, looking for members of band, and there was a band called Common Girl.
Yeah.
They were just like right off, like the location on Craigslist. They were like off 162nd.
No, they're really cool.
They're good. Yeah, they're a really good shoegaze band. So yeah, I would like to play with them as well.
Hell yeah. Well, everybody, you know what to do. Add everybody they mentioned in the comments. Let's see if we can make that happen. And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limit, so have fun with this. But if the band's music could be the soundtrack for any movie, which one would you pick?
Train Spotting.
Okay.
Train Spotting. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It's gloomy, we make gloomy music. There's some pretty fucked up parts on it, I just think of that because I saw there's this YouTube channel that does cool like edits over songs, and they did one with like a Pixie song. And I didn't know what the movie was until I had eventually seen it. And I was like, yeah, this is a good movie with lots of gloomy parts to it, So yeah, I would think that one.
Yeah, that's a solid choice.
Yeah, it's absolutely a solid choice. I'm not 100% sure what I would say our music would fit in well with. I would probably just have to default to like one of my favorite movies, which is The Thing, the original.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily have like a lot of like punchy songs, but it's a very like eerie, suspenseful horror movie. So it might work out in a few places here and there,
Oh yeah. No, I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
All right. And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions, if you could each add one abstract instrument into the band, what would it be?
Sitar.
Okay.
Only for a couple of songs.
Nope, it's the lead.
Or a simple one is what's the one where you bang it on your hand and it goes brrrr? What's that called?
I don't know.
Vibraphone or something like that?
Oh, the one where it's like the wood and the like metal thing and yeah.
There's a funny quote from one of my favorite musicians and record label owner, Calvin Johnson, who recorded a lot of early Modest Mouse and like Halo benders and things like that. And he had this thing where he's like, I think it's a vibraphone. He's like, you can use a vibraphone on the album, but you can only use it on one song. That's it. That's the limit. Just one song. So when I think of that, I think of just like, yeah, like sure, a sitar sounds cool. The Beatles did it.
Yeah.
Just do it on like one or two songs.
I could dig that for sure. All right. Then what about you?
I would definitely say a theremin.
Okay, that's
yeah.
I get that answer a lot when I do interviews here. That's a recurring time when theremin shows up.
That's funny, and it's kind of just one of those weird instruments where it has that like really like loud tone, and it just carries.
Yeah,
I kind of feel like it's similar to almost like a synthesizer kind of.
Well, it technically is.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
and it's like, of course, like like shoegaze band theremin. It would make a lot of sense to have that like ambient noise in the background. Yeah.
They are such a tedious instrument to play. Like I've gotten my hands near one a few times. Sorry, that's the phone because use your hands to do it.
Yeah.
They are anybody who can make the Doctor Who theme song. My full respects to. They are such a bizarre instrument to like figure out and like finesse with, and like whenever you watch people do it, they're like breathing out the synths to like make it happen. Definitely a cool instrument and very much an abstract one.
Yeah, it's great. I have it's a Roland, I think it's an FA6 keyboard, but it has a little thermin feature on it. It has a
the
little sensor on it.
D-beam.
Yeah, the D-beam. Yeah, and I've messed with it a couple times. I'm like, yeah, this is super cool. Am I good with it? No, but
well, I think it's more like it's like supposed to be like a replacement for like the mod wheel in the pitch bend, which I guess is very similar. So yeah,
Right.
But yeah, it's like an optical like way to affect it, so you can like use it to like expand and contrast sounds and things. So that's I've never heard anybody compare that to similar to a theremin. That's actually a really cool thing. I dig that. All right. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. What can we look forward to between, let's say, now and February?
Well, hoping to, of course, get some more songs written. Hopefully, a new EP by then. We'll see how kind of time rolls on there. But more than likely, a new EP probably a little bit after that. But for sure, music for sure.
Oh yeah, well, definitely looking forward to that. For this next one, go and look straight at the camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find us on Instagram at Stone Figure. Bandcamp, same thing, Stone Figure. We have a Twitter account, but we don't use it. Facebook. But the best way to keep up with us is Instagram.
Hell yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you'd like to put on while you're on here?
You got anyone you want to plug in?
Shout out Andy for shooting our last show, taking really good pictures of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Oscar for helping us early on. Definitely did a lot of legwork for us as far as our photography, band photos, promotional things. Definitely great friend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody that has taken time to listen to us. We appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Oh yeah. All right. With that being said, we've got one last question to go. But before we do, I'm gonna steal the camera for just a second. As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation. But what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? It's a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to Spirit of the Beehive, their third release, I believe, it's called Hypnic Jerks. Definitely a very obscure, abnormal album. Definitely a little bit easier to listen to. It's like their previous release, Pleasure Suck. But it's definitely one that really pushes the boundaries of what one can like comprehend or what one thinks should sound normal, I guess.
Yeah.
A lot of really weird time signatures go on. Synthesizers, work in certain situations where they shouldn't. It's just very, very, very obscure. It's great.
Hell yeah.
Awesome album.
That was a great record. Now I have one to start on when I check them out. So yeah. Thank you 100%. For that.
Mm-hmm.
And then what about you?
I would just say like Hi, How Are You by Daniel Johnston. We share a birthday. I think it's cool to get into some obscure music, and Daniel Johnston definitely was one of the pioneers for home recordings. Same with this artist. I think is Stevie R. Moore, something like that. But he's kind of like the same deal. He's been recording music since the 70s all by himself. He didn't get popular until like 10 years ago, and he was old and could hardly play shows. But Daniel Johnston, rest in peace. He's the godfather of indie home recordings. Also, very inspired by Matthew Cawthron from the band Elvis Presley, Coma Cinema, the Going Nowheres. Same thing. A lot of his older albums are just all recorded on analog tape, things like that. So
yeah,
whatever inspires you, and that's what inspired me.
Oh yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get up on out of here. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate it.
Oh yeah. And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Eric.
And I'm Jesse.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap. This is not a podcast.
keep jamming.